Andy, along the same lines of what Kevin was alluding to there, this might be a name that, even I would say, I love this name at 30, 40, 50 bucks, Square here, but at 250 bucks, it's a different conversation regardless of what the fundamental story is. It's very difficult for fundamentals to keep up with that kind of move that quickly. Does your data, however, support this type of hysteria, or at least optimism, to ease the language for Square?
Yeah, it is difficult, but when I look at LikeFolio mention data of Square, so this is just people talking about using Cash App, using Square payment systems, that sort of thing. When I look at that over time, it's kind of the picture that says 1,000 words or 1,000,000 words or 1,000,000,000 words. It's an unbelievable chart to look at in terms of the amount of people talking about this company over time and the growth and acceleration of that group. And for me, it's one of those. How can you go wrong if this many people are talking about a company? You can kind of guess where the stock price
Mhm.
is just by looking at this chart. This is what LikeFolio does. But look at that move right here at the end. I would say a significant, if not vast majority of that move is related to cryptocurrency. Now, that said, I don't think that people are just talking about Bitcoin and Square together because their Bitcoins are going higher. It's because the rising prices in Bitcoin are driving interest into cryptocurrencies and therefore into Square. And Square has a lot of
Mhm.
ways to monetize their users that aren't purely Bitcoin. I think of this as, whether Bitcoin's a bubble or not, it almost doesn't matter in the long term because what's happening is Bitcoin is doing the marketing on behalf of Square, and Square's the beneficiary of this massive tailwind, and we just see it in our mention data at an unbelievable pace. It's just one of those. I agree with you in a lot of ways. It's almost impossible to value uh, because uh, because consumers are flocking to this company at such an unbelievable pace.
Mhm.
Andy, when and going back to the discussion I was having with Alex and Jenny, I believe in this company long term. I think long term they're building an Apple like ecosystem for payment, right? And who knows what they have in the it's that question I ask a lot. That's kind of my curiosity coming out is I wonder what's in the pipeline for these guys because they do a great job of creating this ecosystem. But that's not how I make my money. I make my money by trading these names and the risk on this for movement in either direction, frankly, is large. I mean, the risk could easily be to the upside as well as something you got to be careful about. So in terms of trading, I have to think differently than if it's just investing. If I'm thinking about if I'm buying Bitcoin today and not touching it for 10 or 20 years or 15 years, then you're right. This company is amazing in terms of what it's done. But Andy, give me a percentage. Help me. Help me see what you see in terms of, hardware for small business, Cash App, cryptocurrency. What percentages do you think? And best guess, just in more of a discussion topic than any hard number that we're going to hold you to.
Yeah. Okay. So best guess, I would put it at something like this: 15% hardware, 20% Cash App. What am I at? 35. 60%
35.
crypto. So we're up to 95, and then 5% stimulus checks. Okay, because stimulus checks are direct
Nice.
depositing into Square apps right now, and
Mm-hmm.
that's a big deal. So more
Yep.
money's flowing into their ecosystem, and so that's also a big deal. So that's the way I break it down. I think that there is a lot of hype going on right now. Um, whether it's justified or not, doesn't matter. We're not here to
Sure.
figure that out. Just like we weren't here to figure that out last year when we were talking about all the people moving
Mhm.
to Tesla products. These things can
That's
last
right.
for a really, really long time. And
Mhm.
so I caution people. I caution people on betting against these types of moves.
Hey, I'm glad you brought that up. That's actually exactly where I was going to go, Andy. Is I want to go on the other side of the coin here. Hasn't Tesla in some ways debunked that things can't continue to prices that you didn't see before? 2020 showed us in many scenarios, one of my key takeaways, that just because you haven't seen something exactly like it doesn't mean that it can't happen. And setting kind of those false senses of security around that is dangerous. And so my key takeaway, at least from what you're saying, is yeah, it's expensive. It's potentially a different kind of proxy to cryptocurrencies, which may interest a lot of people, especially if they don't want to go directly into Bitcoin. There's still other businesses that they're pursuing and are huge parts of it. But maybe just don't bet against this one. You may not want to buy into it. You may not want to trade it on the bullish side, but there might be better opportunities than shorting it. All of this being considered, though, Andy, isn't there a kind of from an entrepreneurial standpoint, last final thoughts here, isn't there like a fraction of a percentage, kind of a moonshot with all the data they collect on consumers from the transactions they have with one another to merchant transactions that they have from small businesses? Isn't that some type of value down the road? As we know, data is, if not the most valuable commodity, is certainly one of them.
Oh, it's an enormous factor. In fact, the company's already come out and said if any of their customers use two or more of their products, that customer is 4 times as profitable as any other customer. So they've got people coming in to buy Bitcoin now, but they're going to get them on their Cash App. They're going to get them on their hardware, all these other things. And that's the play. And the other thing to keep in mind with Square is like Tesla, like Amazon before it, they can be expensive for a really long time. And primary reason for that is because the company continues to execute at an extremely, extremely high level. And so investors believe that the next iteration of Square products will be loved by the consumer and highly profitable for the company. So we don't even know what that next level is, but investors are willing to bet on Jack Dorsey and this team because he's proven it over and over again over the course of the few years that this company's been public. So that's why investors give Square the benefit of the doubt. And that's where we're at right now. And look, there's a lot of companies that you can bet against that aren't showing 130% year over year mention growth in the LikeFolio universe.